books I've ever read, and I'm not saying that because I'm friends with you, Matt. I'm being serious. This is one of the best
Thanks,
short books I've ever read. And I'm not one for short books. I will pick up a book that has about 3,000 pages in it and go to town on it. But, reading, for me, I read like a chapter a day before I even started putting together the show. And it's been rich. It's been good. It's been refreshing, renewing, and refilling. And I have to say, I am comfortable with being that unknown, ordinary Christian that can, by God's grace, do extraordinary things and have extraordinary influence. And I want to stay on a small scale. I don't know about you, Matt. I think your beard wants to be famous, but you want to stay on a small scale. Is that right?
That's right.
So, well, that concludes our time for today. Matt, any other challenges or closing remarks?
No, that's it, man. Be faithful out there. Hold fast to faith, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. I'll see you guys next week. God bless.
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? You see, when I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. I mean, like a lot of questions. Questions like, how do I record an episode? Or how do I get my show into all the apps that people use to listen to podcasts? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is completely 100% free and super easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that is exactly what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. So if you always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to Anchor. Go to anchor.fm/start and join me in a diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I cannot wait to hear your podcast.
Greetings. This is Steve Salyards, the author of the GA Junkie, and here are some Presbyterian history notes for the week of February 16th. Sunday, February 16th. On this day in 1737, Ralph Erskine submitted his Declaration of Secession. Although Ralph had been present at the 1733 meeting at Gurney Bridge that established the Associate Presbytery, he declined to join his brother Ebenezer and the others at that time. 3 years later, he was ready to leave the established Church of Scotland and join the Secession Church. Monday, February 17th. Today is the 210th anniversary of the birth of Fidelia Church Cohen. She was a pioneering missionary to Hawaii with her husband Titus, spending 37 years in Hilo. She taught school and translated hymns into the local language, many of them recognized for her literary work. Tuesday, February 18th. In 1818, the founding of Auburn Theological Seminary was endorsed by the Synod of Geneva and referred to the PCUSA General Assembly for guidance. The Assembly declined to give an opinion on the school, saying the Synod was the best judge. It's often noted that the Assembly had founded Princeton Seminary 6 years earlier and was not ready to extend their support to another seminary. The meeting on this day also established the committee to develop the school, and they pushed ahead with the seminary. Wednesday, February 19th. On this day in 1896, Texas Presbyterian University was chartered. This was a joint project of the PCUS and the PCUSA to be built in Highland Park, in what is now part of Dallas. While the land was made available, the college was never built due to a lack of funds. Thursday, February 20th. Whitworth College was founded on this day in 1890. Developed from Sumner Academy, founded 7 years earlier by Reverend George Whitworth, the school moved from Sumner to Tacoma in 1899 and then to Spokane in 1914. Friday, February 21st. In 1875, the first worship service was held in the new building for Deer Lodge Presbyterian Church, the first Presbyterian building in Montana. The church had been organized 2.5 years earlier by Pastor James Russell, working with Sheldon Jackson. While funds were tight, enough was raised by subscription and fundraising to allow the congregation to move into their own building from their borrowed location in the courthouse they shared with the local Episcopal Church. Saturday, February 22nd. On this day in 1874, the Second Talmadge Tabernacle was dedicated in Brooklyn, one of the early megachurch buildings, The amphitheater seating provided plenty of room for thousands of attendees to hear the renowned pastor DeWitt Talmage. This building replaced an earlier one that burned down 2 years earlier. This building burned down 15 years later, but of the 3 tabernacles, this was the longest standing, as the third burned down 5 years after it was constructed. Thanks for joining me here on the E.A.R. podcast, and I look forward to joining you again next week.
You have reached the end of yet another episode from the E.A.R. We hope that God's Word remains on the ears of the listeners. We pray that this podcast would urge you to go forth and spread His good news to the world. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. See you at the next episode. God bless you, and may His glory shine upon you.